In this video, I'm going to show you how to take the nibs out of a variety of different alcohol markers. My name is Christy. Welcome back to my channel. I am an artist and a coloring book publisher. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So I have 5 different markers here. I have just cheap Amazon alcohol markers. This one is from Michael's. It's their store brand, the Artist Loft. I have the round Ohuhu. I've got Copic, and I've got these are also Ohuhu, but they are like the grayscale, so it's just a little bit different. These ones are round and these ones are oval. So I'm doing all these today so that you can scroll to the part in the video where it's your marker and you can just look at whatever one is yours. So before we get started, best case scenario, you might want to have a little bit of rubbing alcohol on hand. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. I just use that for cleaning things up. You also will need tweezers. If you don't have tweezers, you can use your fingers, but you're going to probably get ink all over your fingers. Instead, you could use a paper towel as well, but anytime you use paper towel or something absorbent, it's going to soak the ink out. So because this is not an absorbent thing, it's not going to soak any of the ink, and you're not going to waste any of that ink. So if you pulled it out with this, you're going to waste a little bit of ink. So because I'm using a variety of markers in this video, if you run into any issues, you may want to watch the video all the way through, because as I go through each marker, some of them are harder to get out, some of them are different nibs. They're all different types. So if you're having trouble getting your marker nib out, watch the video all the way through, because there are tips all the way through the video to help you get your nibs out. So I'm going to start with a cheap Amazon marker. So every marker is pretty much the same. But I'm showing them all different because people will inevitably have questions. What you do is take off the lid. You can use your fingers, but you'll get ink all over your fingers. I like to keep a separate little tweezer in my art area, and you just grab it, pull it out. Just make sure you have like something that you can put it on that's not going to hurt anything. So see how it gets ink all over the place? You want to make sure you have a towel, or sometimes they put a little plate under there. And then if you're going to put ink or alcohol in the marker, you would put it in there, and then you just put the nib back on like that. And then I'll put the cap back on, and we'll switch to the other side. So this one is a dual tip. Most alcohol markers are, and it's just a small tip. You do the same thing, apply some pressure, pull it out. And same thing if you wanted to put some ink in. I always put the ink in this side because it's bigger. And I very rarely use the smaller side. And then put it back in and put your cap back on. Something you want to make sure you do every single time is clean off your tweezers, because especially if you're using a dark marker, see, you'll have a little bit of ink left over. You want to make sure that you're not spreading ink across the nibs. So I'll move on to the Artist Loft. This one has a weird cap. I really don't like these markers that much. I like how they work, but the cap is stupid because it's like a triangle. I don't like them. That's a side note. So same thing. You grab the nib with your tweezers, apply some pressure. Might take you a couple tries. This one's a little bit harder to get out. I've never taken this one out before. Oof. You might be careful not to destroy your nibs. There we go. This one has a lot of ink in it, and see how I still got it all over my hand? So just be careful. You might want to use gloves. And then to put it back in, same thing, opposite. Put the cap back on. And then for the other side, you're going to do the same thing, take the cap off. This one is a brush tip, so it is very squishy. See if I can get a close up there. It's like super squishy. So same thing. You just squeeze it, pull it out, and then you're gonna wanna do that. Same in reverse, like that. And that's it. Put your cap back on. So that's the Artist Loft. And of course, I have to clean off my marker, or my tweezers. Now my tweezers are especially dirty right now because I used the dark color. So I'm gonna take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and I'm just gonna clean them off like that. See how dirty they are? You can use soap and water, but because it's alcohol, alcohol-based marker, it'll come off easier if you use alcohol. So and same with your hands. Just make sure you wash your hands afterwards. So I'm probably going to get marker all over my hands, so I'll just leave it for now. And somebody's going to ask me this, so I'm just going to say this is just regular rubbing alcohol. This one's 70%. I got it at Dollarama in Canada. You can get rubbing alcohol just about anywhere, dollar store, Shoppers Drug Mart, which is a pharmacy, grocery stores. Most places carry it. This one's 70%, but you can go, I would go probably up to 90% or more. Just be careful, and if you're not 18 or older, make sure that you have a parent with you. Next, I'm going to do the Copic. So this is a Copic marker. It's actually really dirty, so just ignore that. Same thing, take the cap off. It's nice and clean now. Grab your nib like this and just pull it out. This one I've taken out 100 times and replaced the nib a few times. You just put it back in, the cap back on, and you can do the same thing with the other side. So this is the brush tip. Squeeze it, pull it out, put it back in. So if you ever have to take the nib out in order to put alcohol in there or to put ink, I have some videos on how to revive your alcohol markers if you need to see that. Okay, next we have the Ohuhu. This one is the cap, the oval cap. So same thing, this is the tiny little nib. You're going to put your tweezers around like this. Oh, that one's really in there. This one I'm just wiggling to get it out. Oh goodness, it's really in there. Oh, geez. All right, so just be be careful with your nibs because you don't want to ruin them either. So to put it back in, I'm just going to do the same thing in reverse, but I'm going to hold it closer to where it's going in because I don't want it to bend. See how it's a little bit flexible? I don't want it to bend. So I'm going to do it in little pieces here. You're going to need a little bit of strength in your hand to be able to do that. Put the cap back on. Same thing with the other side. Take the cap off. This one should be a little bit easier coming out. So there's more to grab onto. And if I can't get a good grip on it, I literally just use my fingers. But you will get ink on your hands, so just be careful. And then to put it back on, I would just do that. So this one I had a hard time pulling out. Oh, there we go. You can also wiggle a little bit, like that. And then put the cap back on. Next, I'm going to do, this is just the regular Ohuhu. Same thing. We're going to take the cap off, grab it by the nib. This one I've removed 1,000 times, so it's coming out really easy, but same thing. See how it's getting a little bit frayed? I might need to replace the nib. Yeah, then put it back in, cap back on, and then we'll flip it to the other side. This is the brush tip. This one you need to squeeze a little bit harder because it's smushy, and then I'll wiggle it like this to pull it out. This one is a dual tip as well. So if this tip gets frayed, you can flip it over and put it back in like that. I don't need to do that yet, so I'm just gonna leave it as is and put it back on. And that's it. That's it. That's how you take a nib out and put one back in for your alcohol markers. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more marker tips.